Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to add some loads to your elbow rehabilitation while strengthening and stretching at the same time. If you haven't watched the first video on how to mobilize the tissues around the joint, the elbow joint first, I recommend you go back and watch that first before you start adding loads. If you're getting excessive stretch or you have some mobility restrictions, you might start tearing through it and it really aggravate things because we will be adding some torque through the tissues. We have to make sure that there's adequate range of motion and the tissues and the joints can tolerate it. So we don't want any impingement. We want full flexion extension where there's no pain or impingement. We want some full supination, pronation before we start adding loads. So if you haven't gone over the mobility section first, do that before you start adding loads. We're just going to use some equipment that we can use at home. Again, we'll go back to the dowel. I'll show you how to put weights on this. If you don't have any weighted bars at a clinic, using a baseball bat, golf club, anything that will add some resistance at the end of a lever will work just fine. A lot of the exercises will look similar to the previous video. We're just going to add some resistance on it, and I'm going to throw some different variations in there. Again, if there's pain or excessive irritation in any tissues, stop what you're doing, go get it checked out. I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know if you have any questions.
Just like in the first video, we're going to start with some straight arm work. As you can see, I've placed a small kettlebell on the dowel if you don't have any weighted bars. It's just going to add a little bit more degree of difficulty and a little more tension through the elbows, as well as strengthen the shoulders and the scapula. Get to the top, let the elbows bend in, and then press it off the back of your neck to open up a little bit more fascial stretch through the anterior ribs. Flip your grip around so the palms are facing up, lock those elbows, and get that long-handed bicep working. At the top, really make sure that you're pulling those shoulders into your back pockets, keep them away from your ears so the lower traps have to engage. Again, let the elbows start to bend, press it off the back of your neck. It's just going to work the triceps into a very long range. Next, place the dowel behind your back, lock those elbows, keep that spine straight, squeeze the scaps, and start doing some straight arm back levers. Do some isometric holds, change your body position, just play around with it. It's more for proprioception and just opening up the shoulders, as well as stretching the brachialis muscle in the forearm. Flip the hands around, go after those triceps a little bit more. That'll get a bigger stretch into the long head biceps. And just do some wrist curls back here. Change your body position just to get a different feel of where the shoulders and how the elbows open up. If you don't have a wrist roller to do the curl-ups, you can just use your dowel, again with the kettlebell attached to it, and just do some wrist curls. Pitcher curls or hammer curls with a kettlebell would just give you an extra degree of difficulty. You can do this with a dumbbell, however the kettlebell will really test your grip. Angle the body to a 45 degrees bend, fully extend the shoulder, and just do some kickbacks. Hold it, do some rotations, open up that shoulder and arm. You can either grab a baseball bat or a golf club. Just again, we're going to do some supination, pronation, radial deviation, ulnar deviation with some resistance on the end. Move slowly with this as to not irritate or overstretch any tissues. It's about control and stretch and strength. Okay. Do some horizontal pressing. You'll get a different feel in the elbow flexors and a different stretch. Flip it around. And again, with that weight now on the bottom side of the wrist, get a completely different feel and stress through the elbow, and you'll really find some weak areas. As you can see, I hit a weak spot in mine, so I have to choke up on the bat to take some of the tension off. Throw that arm into a full extension, lock the elbow, do some For you golfers out there, feel free to use your golf club. Again, use whatever tool is available for you. Try and keep all the rotation at the elbow in these drills. And when you feel like it, take a quick cut.
I hope you found this video helpful and informative. Remember, we have to find range of motion and mobility through joints first. Go back and watch the mobility video with the dowel. Make sure the wrists have adequate range of motion before you start directing energy and directing tension through the elbows to think that that's going to fix the problem. If above and below the problem is not corrected or is still an issue, you're never going to solve the problem just by hammering on exercises. I know you can use dumbbells, you can use a lot of other different tools. I purposely use the dowel and add resistance to essentially lock up the wrist and to lock up the elbow so that when we are moving the limb through space, the energy and the tension is drawn into the joint that's tight. You can use dumbbells and reverse curls and with the supinated grip position, but you're only going to move to where you move the best. If you're tight in a certain range, you're just going to slowly start to, and that's fine if you're strengthening, but remember, we're trying to mobilize and we're trying to stretch and strengthen at the same time and correct any mobility problems that may be occurring around the elbow joint. These are all what's called open kinetic chain exercises, meaning the load is moving around the body or the limb is moving around the body. Closed kinetic chain we'll get into in the next video, where the hands are fixed either onto the ground or fixed onto a bar and the body is moving around the limb. Adds a different stress. The rules change when it comes to open versus closed kinetic chain exercises, to which muscles are supposed to be firing, which ones are supposed to be stabilizing, and where you're going to actually direct the stretch. So look for the next video. We'll get into some more technically functional closed kinetic chain exercises and increase your range of motion and strength overall. I hope you found this helpful. Email, message me if you have any questions.